My name is Sachinarana.
Hello. Started, sir.
సార్ ఇది చదవమన్నారు కదా, ఇది చదవమన్నారు ఫస్ట్, దాని తర్వాత ఇది. Hi everyone. My name is Sachinarana, chemistry faculty from Spark Academy, Hyderabad. Now we are discussing about organic chemistry basics. Most of the students are confused in general organic chemistry. First year general organic chemistry. So I will rectify your doubt. I will clear all of your doubts. Now in today's session we are discussing about general organic chemistry. GOC, general organic chemistry, in which first we are discussing about electronic displacement effects. Electronic displacement effects. Displacement electronic displacement effects. These are most important. First year GOC is most important. Shema. Now, what is the use of electronic displacement effects? These effects are useful to read where electron density is maximum and where electron density is minimum. These electronic displacement effects help us to read the or to know the where electron density is maximum or where electron density is minimum in given organic compound. Again, these electronic displacement effects are classified into two types. These are classified into two types. These are classified into two types. One is permanent effect. First one is permanent effect. Second one is temporary effect. First one is permanent effect. Second one is temporary effect. Now, what are the examples of permanent effect? First one is inductive effect. I am writing this is IE. First one is inductive effect. Second one is mesomeric effect, which is also called resonance, or and third one is hyperconjugation. Electronic displacement effects are most useful to read where electron density is maximum and where electron density is minimum in given organic compound. Now again, electronic displacement effects are classified into two types. One is permanent effects, second one is temporary effect. Examples of permanent effect: inductive effect, mesomeric effect, which is also called resonance effect, and third one is hyperconjugation. Now examples of temporary effects: electromeric effect, and second one is inductomeric effects. Inductomeric effect. See why these are called permanent effects: inductive effect, mesomeric effect, and hyperconjugation. Why all these are belongs to permanent effects, or why all these are called permanent effects? Because of these will act at any situation. There is no particular set of condition. These will act at any situation. There is no particular set of condition. See, but temporary effects will act on demand of reagent. Temporary effects will act on demand of reagent. but permanent effect will act at any situation. There is no particular set of conditions. Now we will discuss about inductive effect, the most important one, which is inductive effect. It is a very important basics of organic chemistry, inductive effect. IE. Now okay ma, my voice? Now fine. Inductive effect. See ma, inductive effect. Now a chemical bond can be classified into two types. Simply a chemical bond can be classified into two types. What they are? One is covalent bond, second one is ionic bond. Now again covalent bond can be again classified into two types, polar covalent bond and non-polar covalent bond. Inductive effect is observed in a polar covalent bond. Inductive effect is observed in a polar covalent bond. Compounds containing polar covalent bond, in such type of substance we are observed inductive effect. Now see for example, now I am taking a carbon chain. This is carbon chain which is attached to atom X, where X is the most electronegative atom, where X is the more electronegative atom than carbon. Here X is more electronegative than carbon. It may be more electronegative than carbon. What there amma? NO2, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, or OH, or cyano group, or isocyano group, etc. Here I am taking a carbon compound in which carbon is attached to more electronegative atom. It may be NO2, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, OH, cyanide or acid group, etc. Now see here, due to the more electronegative, here X is the more electronegative atom. Due to the more electro character of X, here X is more electronegative than, now I am giving numbers up to the carbons. This is first carbon, this is second carbon, and this is carbon number 3, and this is carbon number 4. Here X is more electronegative than carbon atom. So bonded electrons are migrated towards to X. Here X is more electronegative than carbon. What is electronegative character? Electronegativity is nothing but tendency to attract bond pair of electrons, tendency to pull shared pair of electrons towards itself, called electronegativity. Here X is the more electronegative than carbon. So due to the more electronegativity of X, it attracts sigma bonded electrons towards to itself. Then X attains partially negative charge, carbon attains partially a positive charge. Now C1 carbon atom attains partially positive charge. Due to this reason, electronegativity of C1 carbon atom increases. Due to this reason, electronegativity of C1 carbon atom increases. What will happen now? Electronegativity of C1 carbon atom increases. It attracts the again bond pair of electrons towards itself, and which develops a positive charge on C2 carbon atom. In the same way, again electronegativity of C2 carbon atom increases, it also attracts the sigma bonded electrons towards itself, forms positive charge on C3 carbon atom. In the same way, C3 forms positive charge on C4 carbon atom. Now all of you clear? It is here X is more electronegative than carbon atom. So what is electronegative character? Electronegative character is nothing but tendency to attract bond pair of electrons. Here X attracts this bond pair of electrons towards itself. X attains partially negative charge. Here carbon attains partially positive charge. Due to this reason, C1 electronegativity of C1 carbon atom increases. Then what will happen? Again C1 carbon atom attracts bond pair of electrons towards itself and forms a positive charge on carbon atom number 2. In the same way, C2 forms the positive charge on C3, C3 forms on the positive charge on C4. In the same way, C3 forms positive charge on C4. Now see, observe clearly all of you here. The permanent polarization will take place on the given carbon chain. The permanent polarization of carbon chain due to the presence of more electronegative atom or group is called inductive effect. Now I am writing definition of inductive effect. Here permanent polarization will take place. Positive poles and negative poles are positive poles and negative poles are formed in given carbon chain. Now see here. Now definition of inductive effect: the permanent polarization of carbon chain due to presence of higher electronegative atom, or group called inductive effect. Is it clear? Once again listen carefully. See, permanent polarization will take place due to the more electronegative atom X present on given organic compound. Here what is electronegative character? It attracts the bond pair of electrons towards itself. So here X attracts a bond pair, sigma bonded electrons towards itself, then it attains partially negative character, partially negative charge. In the same way, C1 carbon atom attains partially positive charge. Due to this reason, electronegativity of C1 increases and it attracts bond pair of electrons towards itself, then develops the positive charge on C2. In the same way, C2 develops the positive charge on C3, C3 develops the positive charge on C4. That is why here polarization takes place in chain. This is the permanent polarization of carbon chain due to the presence of more electronegative atom or group called inductive effect. Now, what are the characteristics of inductive effect? First one, inductive effect is applicable. It is applicable over on sigma bonds only. It is applicable over on bonds only. It is applicable for sigma bonds only. It is applicable on. It is applicable over on sigma bonds, not on pi bonds. And second most important property, important character, it is weak effect. It is weak effect and negligible after 3 to 4 carbon atoms, and it is negligible after 3 to 4 carbon atoms. After 3 to 4 carbon atoms. And most important character, inductive effect depends on distance. It decreases with increasing the distance. And it is divided into two parts, which is plus IE effect and minus IE effect. It is divided into two parts. It is divided into two parts. What is it? Which is plus IE and minus IE. These are the most important characteristics of inductive effect. It is applicable on sigma bonds and not over on pi bonds. It is a weak effect and it is negligible after 3 to 4 carbon atoms. It decreases with increasing the distance. It is distance dependent. Most important one, third point. It is distance dependent. It is divided into two parts, which is plus IE and minus IE. See, our first one, we will discuss about minus IE effect. What is minus IE effect? What is minus IE? Atom or group. One second. What are minus IE effect? The atom or group which withdraws, which takes the electrons. The atom or group which withdraws the sigma bonded electron density towards themselves are known to show minus IE. The atom or group which withdraws the electron density towards itself, which withdraws electrons, which withdraws the electrons towards itself, electrons or electron density, which withdraws the electrons or electron density. Which withdraws electron density towards themselves. towards themselves called are noun to show minus IE, or noun to show, one second, are noun to show minus IE, are known to show minus IE. Higher electronegative groups has minus IE power. Higher electronegative groups, most important factor, higher electronegative atoms or groups. Higher electronegative atoms or groups shows more minus E power, are having more minus IE power. Higher electronegative atom, higher electronegative groups, higher electronegative groups has more minus IE power. More minus IE power. For example, if you are taking halogens, what is the minus IE power of halogens? Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Already we know fluorine is the most electronegative element in the periodic table. So it has higher minus IE power than chlorine. After fluorine, chlorine is the most electronegative in halogens. After chlorine, bromine is the most electronegative. Now, order of minus IE power of some groups. This is the most important. By knowing this order, we can predict minus IE power of all the groups. First one, minus IE order of some groups. First one, NF3 plus, one second, I will change my pen. First one here, NF3 plus the order of minus IE power of some groups. NF3 plus, this is positive charge. NF3 plus greater than, NF3 plus has high minus IE power than NR3 plus, which is greater than NH3 NH3 plus, which is greater than NO2, which is greater than cyano group, and which is greater than aldehyde group, and which is greater than ketonic group, which is greater than acid group, which is greater than fluorine. This is the most important order. By knowing this order, we can predict the minus IE power. Fluorine greater than, bromine greater than, iodine greater than, OR greater than, OH group greater than, alkyne group, C triple bond CH, alkyne group greater than, NH2 group greater than, phenyl. NH2 group greater than phenyl group, and which is greater than vinyl group? CH double bond CH2, which is greater than hydrogen. The minus IE power of hydrogen is 0, almost, which is 0. The minus IE power of hydrogen is 0. This is the most important order of minus IE groups, order of minus IE groups. Now, order of plus IE groups. What is plus IE effect? What is plus I effect? What is plus I effect? Here plus I effect is nothing but atom or group which donates the pair of electrons to atom or group which donates electrons are called plus I groups. Atom or groups, most important one, atom or groups, which donates electrons called plus I groups. Now I am writing order of plus I groups. Some important, first one is CH2 minus greater than NH minus greater than O minus greater than tertiary carbon, tertiary methyl carbon, CH3 greater than, and secondary carbon, secondary methyl carbon. Once again, this is the most important order. After knowing this order, we will do most important applications which are related to NEET and mains NCET exams. Tertiary greater than secondary alkyl group. Secondary alkyl group, then primary alkyl group, then methyl group. Before methyl group we have CT3. This is secondary alkyl group for one hydrogen, which is greater than primary, which is greater than CT3. Here tritium greater than CD3, D represents deuterium greater than CH3. This is the order of plus I group, plus I effect of some important groups. Once again, today we are discussing about general organic chemistry. In which most important one is electronic displacement effects. Most of the students get confusion in electronic displacement effects. See here, electronic displacement effect. What is the use of electronic displacement effects? By knowing electronic displacement effect, we can read the where electron density is more and we can read the where electron density is less in a given organic compound. Again, electronic displacement effects classified into two types: permanent effect and temporary effect. Coming to permanent effect, what is the examples of permanent effect? Inductive effect, mesomeric effect, and hyperconjugation. And examples of temporary effect: electromeric effect and inductomeric effect. Inductomeric effect. Why these are called permanent effect? These will act as at any situation. Temporary effects will act as on demand of reagent. And coming to inductive effect, if for example now we are taking an organic compound containing more electronegative group than carbon, which induces the, see here, X is the more electronegative than carbon. So what is electronegative character? Electronegative character is nothing but tendency to attract shared pair of electrons. So here X attracts the bond pair of electrons towards itself, then it attains partially negative charge, and carbon atom attains partially positive charge. Due to this reason, C1 carbon atom, electronegativity of C1 carbon atom increases, which increases the positive charge on C2 carbon atom, which induces this positive charge on C3 and C4 carbon atoms. Now, what is the meaning of inductive effect? The permanent polarization of carbon chain. Here polarization takes place, plus positive sign, negative signs are present in a given compound. The permanent polarization of carbon chain due to the presence of higher electronegative atom or group called inductive effect. It is characteristics of inductive effect. It is applicable on sigma bonds or only, not on pi bonds. It is a weak effect and it is negligible after 3 to 4 carbon atoms. It decreases with increasing the distance, and it is divided into two parts. What are there? What are those? Plus IE and minus IE. Coming to minus IE, what are minus IE groups, or what is minus IE effect? The atom or group which withdraws electron density, which takes electron density towards itself, are known to show minus IE. For example, a higher electronegative groups has more minus I power. For example, we are taking fluorine, chlorine, bromine and iodine. Here fluorine is the more electronegative than chlorine, bromine and iodine. That is why fluorine has high electron withdrawing power than chlorine, than bromine, than iodine. Now what are minus I, what are plus I effect? Atoms or groups which donates electrons are called plus I. Now I will give the, already I gave the order of, some important order of plus I effect of or plus I power.